What's going on, everybody? It is Roush, and welcome to week 3 of the Pokemon Speedruns Draft League. This week is going to be a little more difficult for me in terms of how to team build. I am facing off against a very, very competent team this week. Not to say that past weeks weren't competent battlers, but this is just going to be a little more difficult for me to build and prep for. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. As you can see, I am on top this week. I got a nice 10 differential, plus 10. Um, this week, we're facing off against Battle Dolphin. He is tied for second. That scares me. He's caught an incredibly threatening team to me. And this was just so terrifying to build for because he's got so many threats. I kind of went with a more balanced team this week, somewhat similar to week 1. And hopefully this one comes out on top, same as that. So before we get started with my team, let's go ahead and go over Dolphins team. Here we go. Disregard. Thank you. So the Jimboomban Jigglypuffs, as we see here. Why is that cut off? Hold on. That cuts off. There. Hi. There you are. So, he's got Terrakion, Rotom Wash, Porygon 2, Zygarde 10%, Quillfish, Jigglypuff, Mega Audino, Excadrill, Primarina, Xurkitree, and Gliscor. This combination is stupid. It's really good. Everybody's kind of specialized, but at the same time varied enough that altogether they produce a very balanced team. It's scary. I fully expect Porygon 2. I expect Zygarde or Excadrill. One of them is going to be Choice Scarfed, I swear. Because I have a very fast team, I feel that he has to bring at least one Scarfer versus me. Quillfish is threatening to me. Mega Audino is threatening to me to some extent. Xurkitree is very threatening overall. It is one of his Z Crystal users. Gliscor is very threatening overall. Terrakion is very threatening overall. Like, this is just a stupid, scary team to build for. But in terms of what I honestly expect him to bring, I say I like Rotom Wash, Porygon 2, and Mega Audino as a defensive core. I kind of expect Trick Room almost, with maybe a Primarina mixed in with that. I could see Xurkitree coming. I kind of don't see Terrakion, although he could bring it. Terrakion would be a nice bring, even like a Choice Scarf set or a Rock Polish. Though personally, if he brings it, I kind of am expecting Rock Polish because it can do work versus my team. But now that we've seen that, let's go ahead and take a look at what ye old Roush has brought. So, yoink, here we go. That is not my team, yoink. Alright, so number 1, as you can see, I brought the Wicker Man. I brought the Mega Beedrill, Baton Pass, Poison Jab, Drill Run, and Fell Stinger with a little bit of defense investment. This Mon is really weird. This is really the only Mon I mapped out a little bit. Fell Stinger does about 60 to 70% to Zydoge, that is Zygarde 10%. It can do up to 27% to a Max Fizdef Rotom Wash. It can do up to 20% to a Porygon 2. So I need members incredibly weakened in order to get that Fell Stinger boost, but once that does happen, I can Baton Pass. Now, my original thought was to Baton Pass into Mamoswine, that ended up kind of going by the wayside. In fact, I may even drop Baton Pass in favor of U-Turn now and drop Fellstinger in exchange for knockoff. I'll debate that. I'll look at that before we actually get into the match. But right now, the speed that we have is to outspeed a Adamant Scarf Excadrill and a modest +1 Xurkitree, etc. And anything slower, basically a Scarfed, neutral nature, anything below 88. So that's Beedrill this week. It's going to be there for momentum, maybe a little bit of setup at the end. It can work. I do have a distinct end goal in mind. I do have one Mon that does incredibly well versus this team, but I really need the team support around it. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Next Mon that I brought is Dr. Doofenshmirtz. So Choice Scarf again this week. It's kinda there. Again, speed investment outspeeds Scarf Excadrill. Just like you'll see a whole, well, I mean, not a whole lot, but it's what the speed's for. Draco Meteor, Earth Power, Flash Cannon, U-Turn. Draco Meteor is just the generic nuke. Earth Power is there for the freaking. Well, I mean, it's got good type coverage versus the entire team. It hits Terrakion if I predict Terrakion. It hits Excadrill should I predict Excadrill. Flash Cannon is there for the plethora of fairies, that mainly for the Mega Audino, although it only does about 35% to a Spadef. No, to a max defense fairy in a Mega Audino. Mega Audino is stupid bulky. And because of that, I'm a little bit scared for it, especially with this team, because Mega Audino is a threat to my end goal. And then U-Turn is for the momentum. Next one that I'm bringing this week is, let's bring it out, Spike, the Fortress. Spike, incredibly useful Mon. Spikes, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, and Toxic. I really want Toxic in this match, even though he does have the very reliable Heal Beller in the form of Mega Audino and the very reliable Toxic switch in the form of Gliscor. I definitely want stuff like Porygon, stuff like maybe Terrakion, stuff like, I mean, literally everything on his team. I would like to get a fat Toxic on, just to start racking up damage, because again, I do have a very specific end goal in mind, but I need to, learn a whole bunch of sets. I need to learn what is Scarfed and what can do damage versus this, versus my end goal. Rotom Wash is another important Mon. That's actually the other reason. Porygon 2 and Rotom Wash are the reasons why I have Toxic on this Fortress. Because just to whittle them down as quickly as possible, as much as possible. Again, I could also go for that Fell Stinger, because Poison Jab and Drill Run wreak havoc to his entire team once I get to +3. Or even +2 if I wanted to sub for Swords Dance. But I like Fell Stinger a lot more because of its more usages to set up with. Alright, to go along with Fortress, this is going to be a common theme throughout the entirety of the season. I'm bringing the Pretty Petal Flower Shop. Once again, physically defensive. It's kind of predictable, but unfortunately, it's kind of the role that I have laid out for this team. I need to... I mean, I promise to myself that I will be giving it other roles here, but this week I felt like it had to be used in this regard, because I couldn't really use... well, I have another Mon that I probably could have used as a special sponge, but I felt that it had more utility as a physical sponge, mainly for Terrakion. But I digress. Wish, Protect, Moonblast, Calm Mind. This week, the Calm Mind is mainly to be able to take on the likes of Mega Audino, depending on the Primarina set, Primarina as well, and to also kind of defend against the Xurkitree. Moonblast just hits everything on his team for okay damage, because the only Mons that resist Fairy on his team are Quillfish and Excadrill, which both of them don't really have a special defense stat. So Florges might be able to get some nice chip with the Moonblast and be able to have a little bit of survivability. Again, Wish Protect with leftovers, plus Toxic on Fortress. So a nice little combination going there. Next mon this week, gonna be the Swampert U. So U this week is gonna be Earthquake, Scald, Toxic, Stealth Rock with the Rindoberry. Now, this could end up biting me in the ass with this Rindoberry. Really, the only mon that it would be useful against would be Xurkitree, because I fully expect it to be carrying a grass coverage, of which, if he is Z-Hypnosis plus Tail Glow, he would have to bring either Ice or Grass. If he is Grass, Doofenshmirtz is a switch in. If he is Ice, Swampert is decent. So it just depends. But Swampert is going to be there to try and tank a hit. I can survive an unboosted Energy Ball from Xurkitree, but that's about it. I do one hit KO 1,000,000% with every single Earthquake that I do to Xurkitree. Scald is there to get burns on stuff, especially for the Zygarde 10% and the Excadrill. Primarina and Xurkitree again are going to get Earthquaked. Scald also hits Gliscor, does about 50% to a Spidef variant. And Stealth Rocks are there to force stuff like Rotom Wash to go for moves that clear hazards. So like Rotom Wash, it forces the hand of Gliscor, it forces the hand of, if either of them are the defog users this week. Also Excadrill, because all three of those can be gateways to my end goal. And my end goal this week is going to be the Virizion Wireless LTE. The Sub-Swords Dance Leaf Blade Close Combat, and because this is my Z user, I felt it very appropriate that it get the Fightinium Z this week, mainly for longevity purposes. The investment actually allows me to live an Ice Beam, have my Scald live an Ice Beam from... Sorry, not an Ice Beam. A Thunderbolt, neutral Thunderbolt from Xurkitree, because Virizion is really bulky, incredibly enough. So Virizion can set up on Xurkitree, Gliscor if it's not carrying the Acrobatics, Excadrill if it's locked into Earthquake, Quillfish 1,000,000% of the time because I outspeed, Zygarde 10% if locked into Thousand Arrows, Porygon 2 if it doesn't have Ice Beam, because Tri-Attack actually doesn't break my sub either, Rotom Wash if it's not carrying Investment HP Ice. So I really have a lot of opportunities to set up, and that's another reason why Baton Pass on Wickerman is so good, because it gets Virizion up to a great amount of attack, and I can just nuke something with the all-out pummeling, or just straight out go for Leaf Blades, because between those two, he has no resists. His entire team gets rocked either by fighting or grass. So Porygon 2 dies to a +2 close combat, even if it's bold. Max defensive Violite. Zygarde 10% dies to a +2 Leaf Blade. Quillfish doesn't get the Intimidate off if I'm behind a sub, so I just am free to set up on it. Mega Audino is the main check to this. The max I can do at is with +2. The all-out pummeling does 56%, I want to say it is. So I need Mega Audino to be incredibly weakened or gone before I can truly set up. Otherwise, I will have to contend with not having a substitute up. But that is my goal plan for this week. I don't have a lot of the calcs done right now. I will be doing them mid-match. So again, we got Wickerman with the Baton Pass Fell Stinger combo with the Drill Run Poison Jab for coverage. Scarf, Doofenshmirtz, Draco with Earth Power Flash Cannon for coverage, and U-Turn for momentum. Spike with Spikes, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, Toxic, no Volt Switch this week. There's just too many ground types to really bother with it. It's just not as useful. And besides, they're all mons that I would want Fortress to switch out on, ironically. Pretty Petal Flyer Shop, Calm Mind, Wish, Protect. You, Earthquake, Scald, Toxic, Stealth Rock, Rindo Berry, and then a Verizian Wireless LTE Subsword Dance for Tinium Z. Thank you all for watching. Match is going to come up tomorrow. Wish us luck. I guess this is going to be a tough match, man. I'm scared. But hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun with this. And see you later. Roush is out.